What trait is most important to have if you want to compete professionally in mixed martial arts? Athletic prowess? No. Karate lessons from early childhood? No. It's toughness. But some warriors have an almost inhuman capacity for suffering punishment. They amaze us with their endurance, whether it be over a single battle or several years. Many people have made a name for themselves by being tough. They are unbreakable. Here is a list of the 10 most unshakable players in MMA history. Number 10, Mark Hunt, former Pride FC and UFC heavyweight fighter. Mark the Super Samoan has a professional MMA record of 13 wins, 14 defeats, 1 draw, and 1 no contest. Hunt is a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and was the 2001 K1 World Grand Prix champion. Mark Hunt's record alone may not convey to younger sports viewers how difficult he is. A KO loss to the much smaller Melvin Manhoef is sandwiched between a run of submission defeats for him. If only they had known. Mark Hunt is renowned for his resilience under pressure. He has really laughed while taking blows from some of the best heavyweight kickboxers in the world. In his early 20s, Mark Hunt began competing in combat sports as a kickboxer. Before competing in the K1 Oceania tournament in 2000, Hunt competed in the Oceanian kickboxing circuit, compiling a record of 15 victories and 4 losses. At UFC 119, Mark Hunt faced off against Sean McCorkle in his UFC debut. Mark's losing streak continued when he was taken down in 63 seconds with a straight arm bar. At UFC Fight Night, Dos Santos vs. Tuivasa, Mark Hunt's most recent matchup was against Justin Willis. A unanimous decision defeated Hunt. Number 9, Roy Nelson. He was knocked out once, yes, but that is really a minor blemish on an otherwise shining record of toughness. Nelson has lost 3 of his last 4 fights, but they have all been against heavyweights in the top 5. None of them were able to defeat him. You are unbeatable if you can endure 45 minutes of the best heavyweight fighters in the world slugging you and still be upbeat enough to laugh with your buddies. Roy, Big Country Nelson, is that person. From 2004 until 2020, Roy Nelson's MMA career lasted more than 16 years. On April 17, 2004, Nelson, then 27 years old, faced off against Bo Cantrell in his first mixed martial arts match. Nelson eventually submitted Cantrell in the 3rd round. After his debut, he won 5 more straight matches, stopping 4 of them in the process. Nelson made his UFC debut on December 5, 2009, against Brendan Schaub after 17 career fights. He knocked out Schaub in the opening round. Nelson competed in the UFC 19 times, recording a record of 9 wins, 10 defeats, 8 knockout victories, and 1 knockout loss. Number 8. Chris Leben. Chris Leben, who is well known for having a granite chin, has long embodied the slugger maxim, take a punch to give a punch. Due to 2 TKO losses in his last 3 fights, Leben's reputation has recently taken a slight damage, yet even the snarkiest flamers and trolls can't deny the history of his tenacity. Leben had only been knocked out once in his first 27 professional contests, which included matches against a variety of UFC middleweight contenders. KO the iconic puncher with that person? None other than Anderson Silva, who is widely regarded as the best fighter in the annals of the sport. From 2002 through 2013, Chris Leben's MMA career lasted more than 11 years. At the age of 22, Leben made his mixed martial arts debut against Bryce Hamilton on November 9, 2002, and won through 1st-round submission. After 7 professional fights, Leben had a shot at the WEC middleweight title on January 16, 2004, when he was 23 years old. He challenged Mike Swick for the title, and Swick was KO'd in the 2nd round, making him the new WEC middleweight champion. The victories over Yoshihiro Akiyama, Terry Martin, Alessio Sakara, Jorge Rivera, and Patrick Cote are just a few of Leben's standout contests and noteworthy triumphs. Number 7, Anderson Silva. One does not become universally recognized as the greatest fighter on the face of the globe without being able to take a punch, even if one possesses unmatched movement and defensive skills. Even though Anderson is elusive, he has strolled right through heavy shots from other great middleweights like Rich Franklin and Dan Henderson. In the 2010 Battle of the Year, Anderson absorbed a battering from Chael Sonnen for 4.5 rounds before securing a triangle choke to end the contest. Anderson had a rib ailment going into the battle. Before he became a legend, Silva was a journeyman and a champion on several continents. He has never been knocked out. Anderson Silva is a combatant who embodies what it means to be a mixed martial artist. Silva is an accomplished Muay Thai fighter who also holds black belts in Judo, Taekwondo, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In the Brazilian martial art of capoeira, he is also holding a yellow rope. Although capoeira may appear to be a dance or game, it can be incredibly powerful. Just picture Tekken's Eddie. Number 6, Fedor Emelianenko. One of the most illustrious fighters in the history of mixed martial arts is Fedor Emelianenko. He has earned a reputation as one of the top fighters in the world and is one of the few who has successfully fought for a long period outside of the UFC. Fedor had a brief time in the Russian army when he was a young man while living there. He started his career in mixed martial arts as a professional with the Russian top team. He ultimately quit the group and entered rings. He battled there for a while, winning 4 fights before losing his first 1. Fights. His defeat was contentious since a doctor's stoppage was involved, which not everyone approved of. Few would dispute, but from 2003 until 2009, Emelianenko owned the title of best heavyweight in the world. He could not be stopped, taking forceful blows cleanly, being thrown to the top of his skull, competing against a 365-pound kickboxer. Emelianenko crushed every type of pushback the promoters could have envisioned. Although taking a hammering from Bigfoot Silva and a quick knockout from Dan Henderson, the last emperor bounces back and maintains his position, although ultimately beginning to deteriorate in recent years. Number 5, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. Nogueira's perseverance helped him establish himself as one of the top heavyweights in the world before Frank Mir knocked him out and shattered his arm in the rematch. Due to violent ground and pound, Nogueira's head was constantly bouncing off the floor in both of his battles with Fedor Emelianenko. Nogueira overcame early deficits in fights with Mirko Cro Cop and Bob Sapp to outlast and finish their strong opponents. He was actually driven over by a truck when he was a kid. The man cannot be hurt. Number 4, Nick Diaz. The bad boy of MMA is, without a doubt, Nick Diaz. His hard-headed rebel persona best represents his genuine grit. He participated in his debut UFC fight in 2003 when he was just 20 years old. Since then, he has competed against the finest in the world and has only once been stopped by cuts. Nick constantly competes against some of the most skilled and powerful fighters in the sport, yet he keeps moving forward with his younger brother, Nate. Number 3, Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez is impossible to stop, even if he enters a bout out of condition, hurt, or uninspired. He was only stopped once, and it was because of a cut. Sanchez got a full-on head kick to the forehead in the 5th round of his title fight with lightweight superstar BJ Penn, which tore his skin apart. He persisted in marching. Because of the severity of the cut and the overall amount of violence he had endured during the fight, the physicians and referee eventually decided to call an end to the contest. His most recent opponent was likely the hardest puncher in the division, and he took big, powerful blows from him. Did he continue to march forward? Of course he did. Number 2, Jeremy Horn, UFC 54 2005. The legendary Chuck Liddell defended his UFC championship against Jeremy Horn at the height of his prowess. Liddell, one of the greatest knockout punchers in MMA history, can throw punches at Horn at will. Horn continues to hold on despite repeated blows. Before the fight was stopped after 3.5 rounds, Liddell brutally beat Horn. It is only one of 2 TKO blemishes on Horn's ludicrous 89-21-5 record, which is a remarkable display of toughness. The Gumby is the unbreakable man in MMA. Number 1, Dan Henderson. Nobody's chin lasts a lifetime, do they? It does. Dan Henderson has battled the greatest in the world during his 37-fight career, frequently fighting above his natural weight class, and he rushes into attrition battles. Dan Henderson has never suffered a knockout or technical knockout throughout any of his memorable fights. The 41-year-old living legend is still going strong. He has suffered harm and has momentarily slowed down, but scientists are unsure of how he has managed to avoid being annihilated. That's it. If you think some other fighter should be on this list, let us know in the comments. Also, for more content like this, subscribe to our channel.